So, a major new trade agreement has just been signed between the United States and Bangladesh. Now, on the surface, sure, it's about trade. But if you look a little closer, it might just be a blueprint for a whole new way America engages with the world. So let's unpack it. Right. Beyond all the handshakes and the photo ops, the real story is always buried in the details. We're going to dig right into the actual text of this agreement to see what it's really all about. And you'll see why some people are calling it a potential new model for American trade policy. Okay, so we're going to break this down into 5 key areas. First, we'll look at the core idea, the whole philosophy of the deal. Then we'll see how it actually opens up markets. We'll also cover the new rules for our digital economy and, how values like labor and environmental standards are baked right in. And finally, we'll get to its surprising role as a strategic partnership. So let's start with the big idea that's driving this entire agreement. It really is a pretty significant shift in thinking about trade, and it's all centered on one single word: reciprocity. You can see it right here in the preamble. The key word is reciprocity. The goal isn't about one side getting all the benefits, it's about creating a two-way street, where both countries lower barriers to create a much more balanced playing field. So, how does this idea of reciprocity actually work in practice? Well, the agreement tackles market access in 2 key ways, and believe me, it goes much deeper than just simply cutting tariffs. You can really see that two-way street in action right here. The U.S. offers a reciprocal tariff rate on goods from Bangladesh. But in return, Bangladesh doesn't just lower its own tariffs, it also agrees to get rid of these non-tariff barriers, which is basically all the hidden red tape and regulations that can make trade even harder than taxes. And here's what those hurdles often look like. We're talking about things like forcing a U.S. medical device, one that's already been approved by the FDA, mind you, to go through a whole new round of redundant testing, or creating super complex paperwork that just slows everything down. This agreement basically says, hey, if a product meets high U.S. standards, it should be accepted. It clears the way for American exports. This is a perfect example of that reciprocity in action, and it focuses on Bangladesh's huge textile industry. As you can see, they can get reduced or even zero tariffs on the clothes they export to the U.S., but there's a catch. It's linked to them buying American-made inputs like cotton and fiber. It's a clear win-win, built right into the deal. Next up, let's look at how this agreement updates the rulebook for a modern economy. I mean, trade today isn't just about shipping physical goods anymore, right? It's about data, services, intellectual property, and this deal tackles that reality head-on. A really crucial piece of this is banning what's called forced technology transfer. So imagine you've built an innovative software company. This rule means that to sell your product in Bangladesh, you can't be forced to hand over your source code or your secret sauce. It's designed to protect the very core of American innovation. The agreement also sets some really foundational rules for the digital world. It prevents Bangladesh from unfairly targeting U.S. tech companies with special taxes. It makes sure that data can flow freely across borders, which is absolutely essential for modern business. And it guarantees no customs duties on things like software downloads or streaming services. And to make all of this stick, Bangladesh has to follow a very concrete timeline for joining the world's most important intellectual property treaties. This isn't just some vague promise. It's a clear, multi-year roadmap for bringing their IP protection up to global standards. Okay, now we get to another part of this deal that really signals a major shift. It shows this isn't just about money and markets. It's about building specific, enforceable commitments on labor and the environment directly into the trade relationship. The level of detail here is really striking. The agreement mandates specific changes to Bangladeshi labor law, making it easier to form a union, hitting companies with bigger fines for anti-union activity, and extending these rights into those special economic zones. And the crucial part is that these aren't just suggestions, they are binding commitments. And we see the same level of detail on the environmental side. Bangladesh agrees to take real, concrete action to fight illegal logging, stop subsidizing harmful fishing, and strengthen protections for endangered species. It's a way of making sure that more trade doesn't come at the expense of the environment. And now for the final, and I think perhaps the most significant evolution in this agreement. This is where a trade deal transforms into something much, much more: a strategic alliance. The core idea here is that the economic partnership is just the foundation. The real goal is a much deeper alignment on national and regional security. Take a look at this language from Article 4.1. It says that if the U.S. takes an action to protect its national security, like sanctions, for example, Bangladesh is obligated to adopt a complementary measure in support. This is not typical trade language. This is the language of a security pact. In practice, this means the two countries are going to coordinate on controlling the export of sensitive technologies, enforcing U.S. sanctions, and even screening foreign investments for security risks. It represents a comprehensive alignment on economic security. It's a big deal. This strategic alignment also comes with major commercial benefits. Part of the deal includes Bangladesh facilitating the purchase of an estimated $15 billion worth of U.S. liquefied natural gas. This gives Bangladesh a reliable energy source, and it gives the U.S. a major export market. It really reinforces the partnership from both sides. So this brings us to the big question. When you put all the pieces together, the reciprocal trade, the modern digital rules, the enforceable standards for labor and the environment, and this deep security cooperation, it's clear this is far more than just a simple trade deal. It really does look like a new model for how America engages with the world, and the answer to whether it works could shape international relations for years to come.